What is up, guys? It's your boy Arzen, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an awesome day. I know I am. Now, today we're delving into a little bit of a more controversial topic. So, a little bit of background here. I was last night after work, long day, turned on the TV like one does, and like one also does, popped on the Clone Wars, and I've been rewatching it, not in a chronological order or anything, just kind of rewatching it just as it goes along. And I'm in the Umbara arc right now. And, we love the clones. I was thinking like, man, these clones are awesome. Like these guys are like, so, like they're, outside of Order 66, which obviously they didn't have control over, these really morally sound individuals, you know what I mean? Like these are just some great guys. But then it really got me thinking, like when they were fighting the Umbarans, who were like living beings, they're not droids. I was really thinking like, dang, like who's really in the right here? If you really think about it, there's an argument that can be made for both. At the end of the day, we all know what the Republic became. And you're just thinking like, yeah, like the Separatists are portrayed as the bad guys throughout the entire show, but I feel like it's a little bit more morally ambiguous than what they make it out to be in the show, because that's kind of the point. So a common misconception is that a lot of people think that the Republic's decline was mainly caused by the Clone Wars or right before the Clone Wars, but the fact is about 100 years-ish, right at the end of that High Republic era. There's a reason why it was called the High Republic and then it ended. Because there was several problems. We can see this in Tales of the Jedi. Count Dooku, Jedi Master Dooku and his apprentice Qui-Gon Jinn journey to a planet, and it's just absolutely ravaged, and you're thinking, man, this must be like a war, something's going on, but in reality, it was just corruption from the Senate. A corrupt senator who just didn't care about his people, ended up destroying an entire town, like a part of the planet, civilization. Everything was gray, it was gloomy. I mean, you guys know the works.
I will destroy this town and make an example of it, Master Jedi.
So, a lot of people think that, like, the Clone Wars is really what sealed the deal. And it is what sealed the deal, but the decline started way beforehand. What we do know is that one big catalyst was the taxation of the trade zones in the Outer Rim. So a little bit of background on that. The Outer Rim was a very sparsely populated area. To expand business and population out there, they decided to remove taxation on trade in the Outer Rim to, spark some population, spark some businesses. As a result of that, the Commerce Guild, Trade Federation, Techno Union, all those big Separatist Council guys all kind of gathered in the Outer Rim, and because of this lack of regulation, there was almost no Republic interference, I guess, outside of like the taxation, right? Or I guess the no taxation would be the only Republic involvement in the area. That people or specifically companies like the Trade Federation ended up gaining like these godlike powers where if they had a problem with a planet, they could blockade it and then starve the whole planet out. They could kill entire planets if they wanted to. And what this caused was a very poor kind of like indentured servitude kind of culture throughout most of the Outer Rim. So basically what ended up happening is people began to resent the Republic. The Republic, was pretty much not involved at all, with the exception of some Jedi interactions. Some people in the Outer Rim didn't even know or believe that the Jedi existed, or really had never seen one before. I know there's only 10,000 of them across the galaxy at a given time, but still, nonetheless, they had no Republic involvement, and this kind of destroyed not the economy. The economy was bumping because of because of the no taxation, but people's lives were just in jeopardy almost. And, obviously our, main source for this, something that we can look at, is the Trade Federation blockade on Naboo. Just as a quick example, as we all know, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the main kind of like Kickstarter for the Clone Wars, don't mind my actual kick there. The main Kickstarter for the Clone Wars was Naboo, got blockaded by the Trade Federation, and as a result, Naboo, who really didn't prioritize many exports outside of plasma, relied mostly on imports. They weren't focused on farming. They weren't focused on any of that. So as a result, many of the people in the capital city starved, and many people just around just starved. So it ended up being a gigantic problem until obviously the Republic had to step in. Another take that I have is that Count Dooku wasn't completely wrong. Now, before everyone loses their mind in the comments, which I get like maybe 2 comments a video, and one of them's usually me. I'm sure that won't happen. But anyways, Count Dooku didn't really agree with the Separatist alliance. I mean, let's be honest, Count Dooku was a bad guy. He was power hungry, just like all the other Sith Lords. There's a common misconception that he never turned fully to the dark side because his eyes weren't yellow. That's fake. That's not true. If you want me to elaborate on that, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll gladly elaborate on that. But moral of the story is, Count Dooku didn't have these real opinions. But what he did is he did play on already existing grievances. You can't start a revolution like that without existing grievances. There was actual problems, which I talked about earlier. This led people, that believed that the Republic was a dictatorship already before the Empire. So imagine how they felt when a totalitarian military first style government called the Empire busted into every single Outer Rim planet. That probably made them pretty upset, but Count Dooku built this separatist movement on already existing problems. Now, like I said, obviously he didn't believe in that. He also thought that he was going to inherit the Empire with Palpatine, but something that you see commonly with separatists, and actually we can pull from the Mandalorian, the Plaisir arc with the droids, so the separatist battle droids that got reprogrammed into working service droids. The old man says something, I forgot his name, I don't even know if he has a name, I forgot what he said specifically, but when they call him a separatist, Bo-Katan says, "You're a separatist," and he says that that's a punitive kind of term, and he says, "I believe in democracy." So most of these separatists didn't see themselves as, oh, we're the bad guys, we're going up against these guys, we hate the Republic. They hated the Republic, but they wanted democracy. They wanted what the Republic also said they were standing for. So, like I said, this begs the question, who really is in the right? Who has the moral high ground in this war? Now, let's dive into a little bit about the Separatists. Of course, the evil battle droids, they're just real bad dudes, right? Now, I will say, not all Separatists were evil. I think one of the most, one of the easiest people to point at is Lux and Mina Bonteri. They're separatists. They were separatist senators. I think Mina Bonteri ended up being the senator for Raxus before she died, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure they're from Onderon. Mina Bonteri, we saw the humility in her, and during that arc where Padme and Ahsoka visited Raxus, that was the whole point. We got to see the humility and the normalcy in these people, oh yeah, Ahsoka was questioning them and seemed really suspicious of them because all she'd ever seen is battle droids and dudes like General Lot Durd and all those real bad guys, right? Droids taking Twi'leks hostage, things like that. And Mina Bonteri was like, yeah, I'm a separatist. And that was the thing, was she was just as normal as everybody else. The entire point of that episode / arc was to show that there's good people on both sides. I mean, Mina Bonteri was sharing her views with Ahsoka and Padme and saying that she didn't want tyranny, but she believed that the Republic had failed in what her job was, because she was a former Republic senator who, like I said, later transitioned to become a separatist. Not everybody is, that was the core belief of the Separatists. The core belief of the Separatists was a democracy. The Separatist Parliament, who actually voted to end the war, despite, the sabotage by Count Dooku and Palpatine with, the fake cleaning service droids, they, besides that, the Separatist Parliament, with a raised hand vote, it's about as pure as democracy gets besides the elected representatives, they called for an end to the war. Now, let's discuss the armies. Now, of course, like I said, the Separatist battle droids are portrayed as unthinking, mindless, evil robots. And the clones are shown as heroic, brave, cool, super awesome, right? Now, I will say the clones are all of those things. They're awesome. We all love them. Some people's favorite characters are clones. Some of my favorite characters are clones. So, I love the clones as much as the next guy. But when we really look at this, once again, when it comes to the moral high ground situation,
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
And I'm sure this has been tapped in on a little bit in other videos, we are leading an army of accelerated growth 10-year-old boys to fight in a war led by generals who have no war fighting experience. And then on the other side, we have bad guy evil robots who are fighting for the exact same thing that the other side is fighting for, except for they're robots and they cost 5,000 up to maybe 30,000 credits, when one clone trained is about, I think it's 2 million credits. I mean, come on. Look, like I said, I love clones as much as the next guy, but part of that is when I watch the Clone Wars, and like I said, I'm in the Umbara arc right now, when I see a clone, unnamed clone, maybe a named clone, when I see one die, I'm like, oh, dude, that sucks. I actually don't like seeing that. I'm like, oh man, that's terrible. And you gotta think, we're promoting this, right? Think about the sadistic, evil way that the Kaminoans treated their clones. I mean, an example being the Bad Batch when, now this is off the top of my head, the small group of clones asked Nala Se, we're still gonna be soldiers, right? And then she's like, of course, that's what you were bred for. And the Kaminoans kind of threw this just into their brains the whole time, like, this is all you are, this is all you are, we're clones, we're meant to be expendable. Little, I think that was a Shadow of the Malevolence, I think that was the episode name. That is that little reference where the clones were pretty much bred to think that they were expendable. Not only is this drilled into their heads, but they're also, like I said, 10-year-old boys who are slaves. That is a slave army. They have no rights. They have no representation of the Senate. That was a big arc for both, I think, near the end of the Clone Wars and also the Bad Batch with Senator Rio Chuchi and like the clone whistleblowers, which I thought was a really interesting and cool arc. Like, I really love the Bad Batch. They had nothing. They were nothing to the Republic. Little break for my custom 212th clone here. Shout out Republic Customs, new Republic Customs video coming soon. Now back to something that I started talking about at the beginning of the video about the Republic being believed by the Separatists to already fail, is that the Separatists predicted the Empire. Let's think about it. The Emergency Powers, Military Creation Act, which is a response to the Separatist threat. However, like I said, even though this is a fabricated war on both sides, I'm still kind of arguing towards the Separatists a little bit. Like I said, I love the Grand Army of the Republic. It's so cool. I love the clones. I love the Jedi so much. But from a real logical perspective here, the Separatists totally predicted the Empire. This is exactly what they were talking about. For most Republic citizens, once the Empire, kind of came under control and it became the Empire, most core-dwelling Republic citizens honestly didn't notice that much of a difference. Places like Vardos actually expanded, became a lot better. Vardos was a kind of a nasty planet. It was a core planet, more core region planet, but it was a real bad place to be. I mean, after the Empire came in, the Vardos showed loyalty, it got built up, economy was great, all that good stuff. However, in the Outer Rim, it was the same deal for them. Matter of fact, most of the Separatists were the first rebels. Anton Krieger, Cassian Andor was actually, not because of political belief, but because of situation, was actually ended up fighting the clones, and then obviously fought the clones later on when his dad, died, right? All throughout the Outer Rim, rebel insurgencies. There was what's called like the second Clone Wars, like the second wave of Clone Wars. The Outer Rim sieges weren't fully done by the time the Clone Wars ended after Order 66. They were still thousands of troops. Battle of Mimban or whatever. Mimban was a Separatist planet. That was happening up until Solo, as far as we know, and probably a lot longer. I mean, this was going on for a long time. In the episode Rookies, the Mud Jumpers were fighting in Mimban.
You're listening to the Grand Army of the Republic broadcast, the voice of the Outer Rim. This next one goes out to the Mud Jumpers of the 224th, slugging it out on Mimban. Keep your heads down and your seals tight, boy.
Now, let's talk about why the Separatist army failed outside of the fact that it was controlled by the Sith. Part of that Sith control involved Corporate Alliance, Techno Union, all of those big, massive corporations that were basically making life utterly terrible for every Separatist planet, people that were living in like the Outer Rim. That was one of their main pitfalls, but if we really, really do look at it, the Separatists should have won the war. A fun fact about the Battle of Geonosis is that some of the clone commandos and higher-ranking officers that were able to access troop numbers and troop movements were analyzing how many droids there were compared to clones. The clone commandos and other, high-ranking officers were actually wildly confused on why they didn't just cut straight through Geonosis and go straight to Coruscant and take over the entire Republic, because they could have, because of such the large amount of droids that they had. Overall, the Separatists were just being held back by the Sith, obviously, but a large part of that was also the Corporate Alliance greed. These guys were destroying everything. I mean, regardless, these were just greedy, money-hungry people who were only in this war for money and, control back over the Outer Rim and hopefully the Republic. Honestly, in the same boat as the Separatists, if you think about it, they're all fighting for the same thing, but they don't know that they're both losing to one guy. So at the end of the day, I honestly think that although the Republic was honestly shown to be on the moral high ground because of the Jedi and the clones, I think that it's complicated. My personal opinion, I think that the Separatists were in the right side of the war when it comes to the reasons and who they were fighting with, as in like fighting with droids And the Republic was on the right side because they were fighting against invasion. They were protecting what they believed in, what they said they believed in, you know, their core principles of government. You guys have any ideas down below? Throw them in the comment section. If you agree, that's interesting. You know, I'd like to hear your opinions. I'd like to hear why you think I'm right. I'd like to hear why you think I'm wrong. Any video idea suggestions are also always welcome. This is kind of like a surface level lore video. I think I'm gonna get into like some deeper stuff. I just gotta like write some better scripts. Every single thing I said to you, I have no script. This is off the top of the dome. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's just how it is. But as always, guys, my name is Arjun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.